So anyone has any doubt or any question regarding our previous classes, then just let me know. Okay, fine. Then I think we are good. So today I'm moving to the next topic, which is SAS Macro. Okay. So basically, macros, SAS Macro takes two parts. One is a macro variable. Second one is macros. So macro variables is what? They are the tools, okay, which enable you to dynamically modify the text in the SAS program through symbolic substitution. Okay, it means when you are automating your process. Okay, so when you are automating your process, then you have to just give dynamic imputation. Okay, okay. So we are discussing about macros. So I already told you that macros contain two parts. One is a macro variables and second one is a macro. So macros we are using when we are automating our process. Just assume that you have to create some report on a daily basis. You are getting some daily data and you have to create some reports. So you just assume that your dataset name goes change and the rest of the report is same. So what you can do it? You can just create a macro variable which will take your daily dataset name, and the rest of the data you can convert into the SAS macro. So in this way you can just automate your process. So anyone who doesn't know about SAS, who doesn't know about SAS code, you can just guide him that you can just do a small modification, just change your dataset name and you can run your program and you can generate report. So in this way we can just automate our process, then no need to repeat code each and every day or maybe on your requirement. So basically today I'm going to cover macro variables, that how to create macro variables. Okay, and our next class I will take macros, how to create macros, how to use macro variables in our SAS macros. Okay, so the definition of SAS macro is straightforward. So macro variables are tools that enable a user to dynamically modify the text in a SAS program through symbolic substitution. It means I told you that your entire code is there which generate your reports, but only your dataset name goes change. So dynamically you can modify your dataset name in a SAS program. Okay, and another step is that macro variable and your dataset variable, they have no correlation, both are different. Okay, and very important one, macro variable is always character data type. Okay, so as you know about that in our SAS dataset, the variables can contain two types of data type, character, either character or numeric. But your macro variables is only character data type. It saves all the values in the form of the character, in the form of a text. It will take numbers also in the form of character or text. So if we have to perform any mathematical operation on numbers, then we have to do some modification. We have to use some functions, okay, which we'll discuss later in our today's class. So there are different ways to create macro variables. Okay, so we will just go one by one. So I will say one thing is that this is the one of the most important interview question which generally each and everyone asks, that what are the different ways to create macro variable in the macros. Okay, so be with me. If you are not able to figure it out, just let me know. You can stop me. This is again is very important topic, because when you're working on the reporting side, then you have to work a lot on the macros, and then you should aware of it that how to create macro variables. Okay, so the first way, we can use percentage let statement. Okay, the syntax of it, percentage let is your keyword, okay, and this is your macro variable name, okay, and then value. Okay, so I already explained that variable name is the name for the macro variable, and the variable value is the value to be assigned to the macro variable. Okay, this is quite straightforward, but things are how to use that one. Okay, so basically I show you that how to create macros, because without understanding this one you cannot go to the macro variables. This is one of the small example I am taking it here. We will go in the next class in the detail side. So when you are creating a macro, so in this case just assume that you are printing a data set. Okay, where your data set name is going to change. Okay, so just assume that. So first thing is that I have to create a two data sets for a reference. So I created two data sets, DF and ABC. Okay. So basically I have to print these two data sets using a macro. So basically I'm using the percent macro is my keyword. Then macro name is not a keyword, it can be anything. Okay, then my macro variable. Okay, basically it's a parameter. Maybe if you are aware of that data set, sorry, in the .NET and the Java, where we use the functions. So functions are similar in the SAS, which you call as the macros, basically which automating your process. So basically here what we are doing it, we are writing the proc print two times. Like first time we are writing for the proc print data equal to ABC and run. So here you can see that about that if we just assume that in this case I have only two data sets. So I can just write the name of the ABC and the DF. Okay. But maybe in the future I don't know what can be my data set name. Okay, and maybe you are passing this code to a person who doesn't know about SAS code. Okay, but you can guide him that you have to do a small change here and the rest of the things be done by automatic handled by the SAS itself. So basically in this case you can see only your dataset name is going to change. Okay, so I can make this dataset name too dynamically by using the percentage let statement. Okay, so basically I created a small macro which is a percentage macro, it's my keyword. Macro name is the name of the macro. If you want, you can make it X, Y, Z also. And this is your parameter. And then you have to specify proc print data, and then you specify your parameter name, and then run, and then this amend is again your keyword, and then it should be like X, Y, Z. The first line your starting point, ending point, and the middle of it that your program will come. And this is your parameter. So assume, be cautious. So this is my macro variable. So when you are resolving, okay, when you are taking the value of your macro variable, then it should be passed with the ampersand sign. Basically, we'll talk on this one in the detail, how to create macro and all these things. So basically here what I am doing it. So I am passing this 2 to the client. Okay, the macro is already generated. The macro name is XYZ. Okay, so here you can see that one macro has been generated. No error, no warning, nothing is there. Because it will not get nothing in the notes because it's not creating anything. First, what will do it? I am creating a macro by using the %let statement. So %let is my keyword. This is my macro variable name. If you want, you can make it as a DS name. And the name is what? DF. Okay. And this is the how to call a macro. When you are calling the macro, you have to use %XYZ, percentage, your macro variable name, and then your DS name. Your macro variable name. So basically what will happen? So when you run this one, your DF will be printed. You can see this is the DF. If you change the value of D with the ABC, so you can say I am only running only these 2 lines. So now it is printing ABC data set. Previously it was showing DF data set. Okay, so basically what happens? You already created a macro. So first your DS name will take the value of ABC. Okay. So the value will be passed to here. Okay. %XYZ ABC. So when this code will run, it will come to here. Okay. So ABC will replace this value, and so this value will be replaced with the ABC. Got it, or anyone has any doubt? We are good. Take your own time if you are not able to understand it. Okay, fine. We are good. So I'm moving to the next one. Okay, fine. I'm repeating the same process again once more time. So basically, macros are what? It's just like your function. Okay. Just assume that you are using Excel. Okay, so Excel, what do you do? Just like that, you are just using a min function. Min, you are taking the 5 values like A1 to A5. It will just throw you a value of the minimum. Okay, so in this case, sometimes you are using A1 to A5. You can use B1 to B5. You can use C1 to C5. If you want, you can use to D15 to D25. So basically what? Your function is same. Only your parameters are going to change. The same thing is happening in here also. Just assume that I have to print my data. Okay, the data set name can be anything. In this case, I assume that I create two data sets. One is ABC and second one is DEF. Okay. And another thing is that I have to create a macro like this one, that anyone, a non-SAS user who doesn't know about any SAS code, he can do a small modification and he can just print the data set. Okay, basically I have taken a small example so at least anyone can relate it. So first thing what I will do it, I will create a macro variable. First I will do it, create a macros. So percent macro is my keyword, XYZ is my macro name, which can be anything. This is your parameter. Just assume that, just like you are using the squad function where you passing only one parameter. So here you can assume that this is my function name and this containing only one parameter. Okay, and this is for the starting point and this is our ending point. Mn is my keyword and this is my macro name. The middle of this I am defining my macro. So what is the definition of this macro is like, is it printing, proc print, data and the data set name. So data set name is what? It just your macro variable name. So when you're resolving or if you have to get the value of a macro variable, then you have to use ampersand, okay, to get macro variable value. Here I already specify it. Like with an ampersand preceding its name, it will help you to get macro variable value. Okay, so basically in this case, this is my definition of my macro variable. Okay, this is a definition, sorry, macros. Okay, and my macro name is XYZ. So when I run it, it will not generate anything because it is just a definition. Until you are not getting this value, this macro has no meaning. So now what will happen? I am creating a macro variable. No, basically is a, this one is your starting point and this is your telling that your macro definition is going to finish it here. Mn, your macro ends it here. Macro end. Is a keyword and then your macro name. Fine. So then I am passing creating a macro variable. Percentage let is my keyword, TS name is my macro variable name and ABC is a macro value. Okay. Then how to call this macro? Then you have to use ampersand, the macro variable name and your value of your macro. Sorry, you have to specify your macro variable. So basically you have already defined your macros. So now you can tell anyone that boss, just change here and you can run this code. It will do your job. Fine. So this is my dynamic one. Now is a DEF and I am running this two thing. Now DEF is coming. Or maybe you have any other data set, then you can go for it also. Let me check if we have anything. Let's assume that you have like this one, employee one. or XYZ or weather. 1 minute, I have to check in the libraries. Sorry. Yeah, here you can check anything like training dot import data or training dot pl. Now it's showing you data was this one training.pl. So basically what is the definition of this macro is what? You just print the data which you specify in the DS name. So DS name will come to here. Okay. So first this value will go to the here. Okay. This value will come to the here. So when it will hit this one, it will call this definition, the definition of this one. So training.phealth. First it will replace it and then it will replace this value. So your definition will be like proc print data equal to training.phealth run. You got it or any doubt is there? This is a very important topic. I am already telling you, take your own time, because if you are working on the real time scenario, then this thing you have to use too much. Okay. So one thing is another thing, that how to get your macro variable value. Then I already told you that you have to use so you have to use ampersand sign, okay, before your macro variable name. So it will help you to get the macro variable value. So what I am using, like percentage put ampersand and your variable name. It resolve and get your macro variable value, and percentage put will show your macro variable value into the log window. Okay. So basically you sometimes you want to test it that your what the values containing by your variable name, then you can use percentage put. Otherwise you can define your any variable, equal sign, it will pass your value to that variable. So here my last variable name, the DS name. So when I will run this one, so you can see here, this is my log window. Here I can see the what is the value of the DS name is training.pl. Because this thing is a very important one, because in this case our macros are very small, so you can just figure it out. Okay, DS name is containing training.pl, but when you're working on the real-time scenario, then you are creating a very big report. Sometimes you are not able to figure out that, yeah, okay, what the value is taking by my macros, my macro variable. Then you can use this syntax percentage put ampersand DS name to just get or to see the value of your macro variable. Okay, fine. I am moving to the next topic. Calls input. Basically, in this case, I am defining independently personal led statement. But sometimes what happens, like you have to use values of your data set, and then you have to create calls input dynamically. So that what you can use calls input. So basically it assigns the value produced in your data step to a macro variable. Okay, so you have a data set which is ABC A, and you using the calls input. The syntax of calls import is calls import macro variable and the value. Okay, so basically whatever, like in this case you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 values. Okay, so as per the 4 values I have to create 4 macro variables. Okay, so what in this case I have done it like macro where this is my macro variable name. Okay, after that I am creating a 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a concatenate function, and underscore I already told you. This gives you the row number. Okay, and the left we are using because to just removing spaces. Okay, so it will run like this one 4 times, and it will like macro variable 1, 2, 3, 4. The first will take the 10 because I am specifying the my variable name here. This is the A is my data set variable, and the macro where is my macro variable. It can be anything. If you want, you can make it as X, Y, Z or anything. If you want, you can make it as a Y. There will be Y1, Y2, Y3, Y4. Basically, I make it use this one. So it will be create dynamically, because maybe in my row it can be 100 rows. Then it will just create 100 macro variables dynamically. So I'm running this one. And another thing is that this is not part of your data set. Okay, I already told you data set variable and a macro variable are completely different. Okay, so here you can say here you can see it's creating your data set, but it contains only a single column. Total rows are 4, total columns are 1, which is a 10, 20, 30, 40. If you will see that what is the value of your macro variable, then you can use a percentage put statement, ampersand, and then specify your macro variable name. So I told that here we are getting the 4 macro variables. So why I using the y1. So y1 will give me the 10. Y3 is giving me the 30. Because your first value is 10, third value is 30. Similar thing, if you want, you can check with the other values. You can use this one. 2. So if you run bin, then you can see the values in the log window. Like 10, 20, 30, and 40. Okay. If you use the like Y5, then it will give the warning. The apparent symbolic reference 5 not resolved. So there is any error. So in this case the error is what? Because I have only the 5, I have only the 4 macro variables here. Because I am getting only the 4 values. So that's reason it was not able to resolve Y5. So it's showing a warning message here. So any doubt on this one? False input. Okay, just go through it and just give me one moment. Okay, fine. I'm moving to the next one. Using ProgSQL. So just assume that I have one data set is there, which is data ABC, into input AB, cards. There are two values 5, 10. I am running it. A is 5, B to 10. B to 10. ProgSQL is a keyword. Quit is again a keyword. Then you have to use select, which is a keyword. Then you have to specify your dataset variable name. Okay. Into is a keyword. Then colon and then your macro variable name. So it can be anything. If you want to make it as the X from and then your dataset name. Okay, so when you run this one, it will just show you the code, but things are that you will just check this value. I told that you have to use the ampersand and then your macro variable name. So in this case, you can see it passing the value of your dataset variable A. A contains 5, so 5 is passing to the X. Already shown to here also. So the 5 value has been passed to the X. So when you will just run this one, then the value is coming the 5. Okay. So basically in this case you can say about that I have only the one single record. But what happens if I have the multiple records? Okay, and remember one thing is that at a time you can use only a single variable. Okay, you cannot use the multiple variables. You have to use only a single variable. So basically you can say about that in this case I have only the one record. But what happens if I have the multiple records? Then what do we do? So assume that in this case I have the multiple records. 5. Okay, so what I will do it? I will use the ProgSQL. Is again my keyword. Select A is my dataset variable name. Into is my keyword. Colon. And then I am just passing the assume that is the X1 to the X5 and from ABC. So here you can see I have 5 values. I use the 1 to 5. If you want, you can make it 11 to 15. And if you want, you can make it like 7 to 11. And then you can run this one. Sorry, I just forget to run this one first. So you can see that 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 7 will contain the 1, 8 will contain the 2, 9 will contain 3, and 10 will contain 4, and the 11 will contain the 5. So I will just replacing this value. So X7, X9. So 7 is taking the 1 and 9 is taking the 3. So in this case, I am creating multiple macro variables based on the number of records. Okay, so if I am creating a range 7 to 11, it means 7, X7, X8, X9, X10, X11. Okay, where macro variable name is same, but only the number is going to change. So x7 will contain my first value, which is 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then 5. And here you can see the difference. X7 is taking the 1 and X9 is containing the 3. Okay, so now what? If I have to create a single macro variable, we should take all the values. Okay, then we have to use a keyword which is called as a separated by. Okay, in this case I am creating only a single macro variable. Okay, but it is separated by a keyword. In this case I am using the comma. So prog SQL again in my keyword, then select then my variable data set variable name into my keyword colon, then my macro variable name. It can be anything. If you want, you can. I am just single macro where it's just for your understand purpose. Then your keyword separated by. Then you have to specify the character on which basis you want to separate your all the values. Then from your keyword ABC is your data set name, and then quit. So when you run this one, you can see you are getting all the values. It is separated by the comma. 1, 2, 3, 5. So are we good? Just take your time. I'm just giving 2 minutes to just go through it. And if you have any doubt, just let me know. Okay, any doubt, any question? Okay, fine. So now I'm moving to the next topic, that scope of a macro variable. So basically there is a two scope, global and the local. Okay. Just assume that I create a macro variable ABC, but then macro variable name. In this case, I am not specifying any parameter. It's without parameters. Here I create a variable percentage let local var 20, and there I am putting like the value of the local var and the global var should be in the log window when I will run this one. This is the macro definition, no problem. So I am calling this macro. I am for getting 20 and a 10. Okay, why? Because first taking this value, percentage let local var equal to 20, then putting the value of the local variable, then percentage put global var. So first 20 and the 10. Okay, so here you can see first 20 is coming, then 10 is coming. So next I am creating another macro variable df, but here I am not defining any variable. Okay, I am trying to get the value from ABC. So I use percentage put local var, percentage put global var. I am running this code. Okay, code is fine, and now I am calling this macro. So you can see it's giving a warning message that is not able to resolve local var. Okay, but it is able to resolve global var and is giving the value of the 10. Okay, why this problem is coming? Because this variable you have defined or you specify outside of your macros. Okay, so this is the global variable. So name of the macro variable, I made it like this way that anyone can understand it. If you want, you can make it like anything. Okay, so when you are defining any macro variable outside your macros, then it's the global variable. Any macro can use that macro variable. Okay, but if you are defining any variable inside in a macro, then it's a local to only that macros. Other macros cannot use that one. So here I try to use the local var. Okay, but here I did not define the local var. Local var is a part of the your macro ABC. That's the reason I am getting error. But I am able to resolve global var 10 because it's written outside of all the macros. So this is the definition of the global and the local variable. This is one of the most important interview question. What is the difference between the global and the local macro variable? You got it, or do you have any question regarding it? take your time. Okay. So in this way, basically we are defining scope of a variable. This is a very important one. Okay, great. Then we are moving to the next topic. We already discussed that all the macro variables is a character type. It doesn't matter is it either text or the number or date or any other like dollar value or your comma separate values. It will treat all the values in a character. But what happens if you have to perform some arithmetic and the logical expressions? Okay, just assume that you have to perform sum, summation, multiplication, division. Then how can you perform it? Okay, so I'm coming to that topic. So first what I'm doing it here. Percentage let A1 is equal to 10 plus 20. Okay, and then I am trying to resolve this value. So here you can see I am getting the value of 10 plus 20. It is not coming as a 30. Okay, why? This is one of the interview question also. If I am using like percentage let A1 equal to 10 plus 20, then what will be my output? It will not give me any error. Okay, it will give the 10 plus 20. Why? Because it will consider that this is a character value, so this is the 5 character 1 0 then a plus then 2 and 0. It's shown the value of 10 plus 20. So but if you have to perform any arithmetic operation, then you have to use percentage eval. Okay, and then you can use perform any arithmetic operation. So here when I am running this one, I am getting the value of 3. Okay, same thing here itself. Percentage eval, now I am doing a multiplication. I am getting 30. Okay, so here is only for the integer. Integer, it means there is no decimal points like 1, 2, 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, but when you have a real numbers which contain the decimal point also, then you have to use SAS eval f. $39.22 and 31.3. So this is also one of the most important interview question. What is the difference between the percentage eval and the percentage SAS eval f? Okay, percentage eval we use only for the integers, and SAS eval f we use for the real numbers, or you can say decimal, which can the numbers which contains the decimal points of floating numbers. Okay, any doubt or any question on it? So I'm just giving you 5 minutes. Just check, just revise because I'm going to finish macro variables here. Okay, just go through it and just let me know if you are not able to figure out any topic, or if you have any doubt or have any question, then just let me know. Okay. So anyone has any doubt? or any questions regarding macro variable part, or we are good? Okay, fine. So that's it for today's class. Okay, in the next class we will continue with the macro part, how to create macro, how it takes the macro variable value, and we will try to take a small example that. Okay, so good night guys.